Hello. This week's video was always supposed to be about Instagram, and in particular Instagram pods. But with the news coming through from Instagram this week, it is even more relevant. So planning sometimes just is quite incredible. Check this week's episode out. Start off very formally with what has come out of Instagram this week. What have they been telling us this week about the changes that they have been bringing and the things that they have been doing in order to make sure that they are keeping on top of the stuff that is happening on the platform? Because whenever there is a new platform, there is a period of time that it takes for things to really start to come to life, things to really start to come together. And in the terms of social media platforms, Instagram is still quite new. It is still quite a new platform. So Instagram's press office popped out a press release on the 19th of November saying, recently we've seen accounts using third-party apps to artificially grow their audience. First sentence. What that means is that people have been using third parties outside of Instagram to buy followers, to gain followers that aren't necessarily just following them for the value of their content. Then they go on to say, every day people come to Instagram to have real experiences, including genuine interactions. Now, the genuine interactions bit there, I think we're having a little bit of a nod at the bots, the bots that are putting comments on your posts that say things like dope content or have a couple of emojis on them. So this is where a computer is programmed to go in as you onto Instagram and to comment on posts with certain hashtags or certain posts, interact with certain posts artificially without anybody touching them. So I think that the genuine interaction bit there is a nod towards the bots. It is our responsibility to ensure these experiences aren't disrupted by inauthentic activity. Starting today, we will begin removing inauthentic likes, follows and comments from accounts that use third-party apps to boost their popularity. So what they're saying there is they're going to start to crack down on it. They are going to start to get rid of likes on follows on people's Instagram accounts that aren't real people. So once upon a time there was Facebook likes farms, and they would just continue to like Facebook pages and make them immensely popular. Facebook had to crack down on those. Instagram are taking the same course of action. So you might see some accounts where there is a tumble in the followers. You might find that you lose a couple of followers because inadvertently you've ended up with a couple of these accounts following you. So that's what is happening. So from the 19th of November, Instagram were going to start to get rid of those inauthentic likes, follows, comments, get rid of them off the platform. They have built a machine learning tool to help identify accounts that use these services and remove the inauthentic activity. This type of behaviour is bad for community, and third-party apps that generate inauthentic likes, follows and comments violate their community guidelines and terms of use. We're taking a number of steps to limit the kind of unwelcome behaviour. Accounts we identify using these services will receive an in-app message alerting them that we have removed the inauthentic likes, comments, follows given by their account to others. So if Instagram have deemed you to be doing these things, having done these things, then they're saying that you're going to get a message within Instagram. So you're going to be made aware of that. So it isn't something just to panic about across the board. It isn't something to panic about if you haven't touched any third-party apps to automatically engage with accounts or anything like that. What Instagram are doing is they're going to work through, and as they remove these things, if that is your account, which unlikely it is to be if you're sat watching this, then you're going to get a little notification through Instagram to tell you that that has happened. If you receive an in-app message, simply change your password to revoke access to your account. So if other apps have been using your account, then you can change that by changing your password. These new measures will be ongoing, and accounts that continue to use third-party apps to grow their audience may see their Instagram experience impacted, which says to me that there will be kind of black mark penalties on the accounts that are doing this. Since the early days of Instagram, we have auto-detected and removed fake accounts to protect our community. Today's update is just another step in keeping Instagram a vibrant community where people connect and share in authentic ways. We'll have more updates in the coming weeks on additional measures we've taken to tackle inauthentic activity on Instagram. So that is this week's announcement. Now, the YouTube video that I'd always intended to record for this week was about Instagram pods. Now, this is something that I had asked my community on Instagram. I'd asked through Instagram stories if people had heard what, if they even knew what an Instagram pod was first and foremost, and whether or not they were involved in an Instagram pod. So what is an Instagram pod? Well, an Instagram pod is an agreement between a number of page owners, Instagram account owners, that have agreed certain levels of interaction with each other's content. Now, there are varying degrees of the same thing. You know, some of it might be loosely that you interact with your friends and your colleagues' posts and the things that they're putting out there. It might be that you're part of a wider community. Now, these have been touted as being the thing for quite a while, and I feel that actually they fall into the inauthentic action and activity that Instagram are nodding at. So this is where people have all agreed that they will go and like their posts, each other's posts as soon as they're put out. They'll put a comment on those posts as soon as the post goes out. So they're gaining action, traction, interaction on their Instagram posts, and therefore their content is looking extremely popular. As Instagram algorithms are looking at that content, then they're seeing that people have interacted with that content immediately. They are seeing that this is starting to happen, and you know that people are interested in this thing, so then they're pushing that content out further. Now, it's always been seen as a really exciting kind of way to help and support your growth in Instagram. Lots of the big names have talked about using pods, why pods are important, and I've always really resisted it on the basis personally that I felt that that is inauthentic activity. If you're actually in agreement with people that you will go and interact with their stuff and that you will get involved in their stuff because you've agreed that, then, you know, I don't think that that is authentic interaction. Yes, I interact with lots of my Rockstars posts on Instagram, but that isn't because we've agreed to do that. That's because it's come across my feed as I've flipped through. It's because I've been interested in it. It's because I've stopped at that particular thing, rather than just because I've agreed to make sure that when they put that post out that I'm going to jump in there and I'm going to interact and engage in it. So for me, it is there's a level of inauthenticity about it. Now, yeah, I know it's popular. Yeah, I know that people will go, well, maybe that's a little bit short-sighted, not getting involved in that kind of thing. I don't think so. I've always got to come back to my own barometer. And this is what you've got to do. If there is anything out there that is popular, that is recommended, that people are talking about, you know, it's about coming back to the internal. Does this feel right for me? Is this the right thing for me to be doing? Should I be doing this thing? And if your answer is hell yeah, then get on and do it. You know, I'm all for, if it's a hell yeah, go for it. If it's not a hell yeah, then automatically it's a no. It's not necessarily a no never. It's a no, look at it, see if actually this is the right thing for you to be doing. So when I think about it from a activity point of view and an interaction point of view, yeah, people are going to say, right, so the algorithm is seeing people interact with your stuff, then therefore it's going to get pushed out to more people, therefore you're going to get more eyes on it, therefore you've got more chance of getting potential clients looking at it. One thing to be mindful of is that if you get yourself involved in an Instagram pod, and it's an Instagram pod that has people in it that aren't necessarily your ideal clients, that that they're maybe not your ideal clients by a long shot, they're other entrepreneurs that you're working with, then what you're doing in essence is you're giving the algorithm false information by these people interacting with you. So the algorithm is studying and looking at the things that are happening on your account, the people that are interacting with your posts, and they're going, these type of people, computer says these type of people love this post. Now, if the people in your pod are a gazillion miles away from the people that you seek to attract to your business, then you're giving the algorithm a false nod. You're giving it false signals. You're telling it false information. So therefore, it's going to be served up to potentially the wrong people, and therefore you might get more eyes on that initially, but that's going to dwindle off because it's not the right eyes. And at the end of the day, what we want to be doing is building a community that is good for our business, that allows us to create connections with people that we can help support and serve. So if we looked at kind of a real difference in maybe client base, so you might get into a pod with lots of entrepreneurs who serve women over the age of 45, all right? You might own a toy shop that is for people who have really young babies. So if you're getting lots of people that are of a much older generation interacting with your posts, then the likelihood is that your younger generation that you're seeking to attract is a gazillion miles away from that. So you've got to, be mindful of the fact that interaction for interaction's sake isn't necessarily a good thing in your business. So the other thing that is suggested, and it's one of those kind of nods that Instagram is looking at these types of interactions, and they've got all of this artificial intelligence and learning, which you heard about in their press release, and they talked about the fact that they had learn computer programming that is learning behaviours, etc., and picking out those behaviours based on an algorithm, based on a system that they've put in place, that then decides and works through like a very magic potion from Hogwarts, and decides what happens with each individual post. So there is also the nod that if it is just the same people interacting with your post over and over and over and over and over and over again, over time that will become less effective, because it'll see that there's no additional people getting involved, that there's no new people getting involved, etc, etc. So my kind of roundup to today's video is, if you're thinking about Instagram pods, think about them very carefully, all right? Weigh up your pros and cons. Check in with your own gut and intuition on it. It is a widely talked about and encouraged in many sectors practice. It's not right for me, and that's okay. But I am not sitting here and I'm not going to preach to you. I'm going to tell you that actually I feel that it's inauthentic. It's up to you to decide whether or not you feel that it's inauthentic. I feel that it is that false engagement that Instagram are talking about. It's up to you to decide whether you think that that's right. I think that you can end up giving the algorithm many incorrect signals. That's up to you what you think around that. And over time, the same people engaging with your posts over and over again can become less impactful. So it's about what you want from your account. Now, thinking about how you can do it other ways is about being more creative with the content that you create. It is about thinking about how you can encourage the right people to interact and engage in your account. How can you stop them in their tracks? How can you get them to see your posts? How can you be more impactful with your imagery? How can you be more impactful with the words that go with that imagery? Can you use some more emojis? Can you split out that content a little bit more? Can you keep asking questions and be curious so that people come back and respond? When you get responses on your post, can you then go back and engage with those responses? So it's about thinking about what works for you. What works for you? Should you join an Instapod? Right now, I don't think it's a great thing for me. but that's entirely up to you. I would love us to open up this conversation in the comments. So get into the comments. Let me know what you think about them. Let me know if you've got any experience of them. Let me know if you've been involved in an Instapod or are involved in an Instapod. Let me know if you would run for the hills if someone suggested that you were involved in an Instapod. Let's open up the discussion in the comments. I would love to hear. And it would be great if you would make sure that you are subscribed to the YouTube channel and hit the little bell, ding, 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 so that every time a new video comes up that you are given the heads up that it's there, because we all need a heads up that it's there. So, for now, thank you very much for joining me, and I'll speak to you really soon. Bye!